everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Nerd's Toys. Me being the nerd, and this being the toy of the day. My very own Masters of the Universe DIY Snake Mountain playset that I made from scratch using various materials that you can find around the household. Now, I say a toy, but that's not exactly entirely true. I consider it more like a standing piece of art, like a statue or a sculpture, a diorama, if you will. Because even though I intended to make it as durable and as sturdy as you could imagine, so that you could actually use it as a playset with the original Masters of the Universe characters, or the Origins line, as I have here, it didn't turn out that sturdy at all, because I had to use materials that you could find in hardware stores and around the household, as I said. Nevertheless, I did give it some features, some action features, like the gate behind Skeletor that actually opens up, and the bridge is totally walkable, so you can actually fit a character on the bridge, unlike the other version, the original version of Snake Mountain. And I did give it some enhancements, but I'll get into those later. Now, before we take more detailed look at this, I want to walk you through the whole process of making this. What went into manufacturing this rather beautiful work of art, I would say myself, because the process itself was chaotic and not pre-designed at all. Let's take a look. So it was a hot, sunny day last summer. I was on my summer holidays with my family, and I had just started collecting Masters of the Universe figures more actively thanks to the new Origins line. And I was thinking about my options for getting Snake Mountain for Skeletor and his crew to inhabit. Those options were seeking out an original Mattel playset in a decent condition, which I always thought to be a little too small, like many others. Or pay $1,500 for the Super 7 one from the Classics line. Yeah. So, I decided to use my knowledge of different sculpting techniques, which is zero, and try to create my own Snake Mountain to play with. And away we went. I started off by a 600 per 700 millimeters piece of a hardboard, some chicken wire, and a stapler. I shaped the chicken wire to create the basic structure of the mountain, using only this Skeletor figure to get the proportions right, or at least close. And then I stapled the whole wire mess to the board. The next step was to create a solid base and surface to hold this thing together. I had a few beers and decided to use plaster bandages for doing this, and boy, it was messy. Thank God it was not raining much that summer, so I could take all this outside. I did ruin the patio though. Next, I needed to create more mass and thickness, something I could add later or carve out if needed. To achieve this, I used polyurethane foam from a can because of its light weight and the fact that once it's cured, it kinda resembles a rocky surface of a mountain, or better yet, a volcano. So once I got some flesh on the bones of this creation, it was time to start carving out the more detailed shapes, like the stairs and the giant snake face in the middle. It is very crude to try carving the foam with a fruit knife, but I didn't intend to leave any of the carved shapes visible like that in the final form. At this point, I also cooked up a ton of paper mache to start creating some of the smoother surfaces here and there, and even out the hollow bubble spots that were exposed in the foam during the carving. After all that was done, I finally got to sculpting some details. That's always something I want to jump right into, but I just can't before creating all this crap that is hidden inside. I use this gray hobby clay that you can find in every convenience store. I like working with this because of its air drying, and it cures fast even in thicker layers. Some people prefer using polymeric stuff, but come on, there's no way I could have stuffed this beast in an oven. At this point I also hit a few lit spots inside the structure, and the function of those I will show you later. As I was sculpting, I had no clue what particular details I would initially include in the facade, but I decided to pay homage to all versions of Snake Mountain, very much like the Super 7 version did. As I was working on the dog on the top, my kids looked at it and said it looked more like a pig. And that moment I saw it myself. Yes, it did. After a fair amount of all the details I wanted to sculpt and throw in there, I drew the line. Enough is enough. I want to get to playing with this thing. I resin coated the whole thing twice, and in the process some of the more subtle details were lost, but what the heck. In the last minute I also wanted to add those veins or roots or whatever they are. Those are all done by just drawing lines with hot glue. After the resin had cured, I waited a couple of days for those awful fumes to settle and then gave it the first coating with primer paint. Notice that unfinished looking area in the middle? The reason for that was I was gonna add the lava fall, and I didn't really know how to do it yet. But the universe would eventually show me the path. I finally started the final paint job with the most obvious purple and gray tones that define Snake Mountain. I wanted the lava fountain to be this hot glowing red, almost like blood flowing down the river, so I hit a red lit spot on the top part right under those faces and horns. Then I tucked a piece of aluminum foil underneath and mixed a can of polyester resin with a red silicone pigment that seemed to work well with the resin. This created this red transparent mass that would represent the fall. My original idea was just to pour the resin into the foil, let it cure, and then carve it into shape with a Dremel tool. It did not work. The carving was a nightmare. I soon gave up and just flipped the resin piece around and stuck it in there. Fine by me. So that's pretty much the whole journey I went through last summer, and here it is, the almost finished product. And I say almost because it's still a work in progress. When I start something like this, I'm never finished. It's still missing some very important details, like the shackles right above this ledge where Man-at-Arms is supposedly always being held in captivity. And right above this gate, there should be like this structure with the bat sign or whatever. You know what I'm talking about, that marquee or whatever, the facade over that gate. It's still missing. You can still see it's missing some final paint job, like in the eyes. I haven't gotten the time to finish the eyes because the eyes are always the most difficult to get right. But let's take a closer look at the details here. And I now realize that Evelyn's been passed out on the stairs the whole time, but nevertheless, let's get her inside to rest. Now, I did say I added some action features here and there, and I did. Those lead spots I hid inside the structure, well, check this out. I switch it on, and voila! It lights up. So there are 3 different colored LED spots visible here. One is inside the cave, and it's creating this ominous blue glow outside of the cave. And here it is, the lava fountain or lava falls, whatever you want to call it. The lava glows and that's it. And the final LED spot is in the mouth of the snake creature up on top. I know it's not much right now with the full lighting on, but you know, when you turn off the lights, this actually works very well as a night light. Now there is one more lit spot in this set, and it's supposed to go inside the marquee that is yet to be finished here. But anyway, it is going to illuminate the gate as it opens and Skeletor steps outside and says whatever he says to He-Man. Shouts like, "Hey everyone in Eternia! You want a piece of me? He-Man, come and get me!" Now this gate thing, this wolf gate here, I actually made with my 3D pen. It's a little crude, but it works for me, and it's still actually missing the final paint job, it does not have any details. I wanted to make it like rusty, old, worn out gate, but I gave it some silver coating first, and then I thought I might just tone it down a little bit, give it some crap on the surface, if you will. I did manage to make this actually so that it opens a little bit, and I know the original Snake Mountain, the gate opens in the other direction, but this doesn't make sense since the stairs are on this side, so I decided to switch the sides of that handle, so whenever Skeletor steps outside, the gate opens in this direction so he can actually walk down the stairs here. This weird little ball thing here, I don't know what that is actually, but it was included in the Super 7 version, so I just copied it and made it in there. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's the heart of Snake Mountain, who knows. As you can see, there are these veins and roots going around the whole mountain. Now the bridge in the middle is actually detachable like this, and the bridge was made by the same 3D pen as I mentioned earlier. I just added some acrylic color here, acrylic paint, and added some slimy green paint on those, whatever these are, that are hanging on the ropes on those poles. So these are basically wooden sticks, like ice cream sticks, that I just glued together with the 3D pen. So I just made this very simple structure, and I made it actually so wide that you can actually put a figure in there and have him stand sideways and still fit on the bridge. The snake formation here is just something I snagged off the Super 7 version. And when it comes to the main attraction, if you will, the giant snake head, I wanted to make him look more sinister than ever. I gave him those big skeleton-like eye holes. Actually, these are styrofoam balls that I stuck in there so that I could actually paint the eyes on them, so I could get this round shape there. These spiky things, these horns, are basically homage to the Filmation version of the Snake Mountain, and the Super 7 version of the Snake Mountain also did that homage. They took those claw things and added them all around. I added a few. I didn't go all the way like Super 7 did, all the way into the massive amounts of horns here, but I think I have like 8, if I counted right, and they're all like clustered in the middle. And as I mentioned earlier, the shackles on this ledge are still missing. It's a work in progress. According to the artwork in the box of the original toy, you're supposed to you know, capture Man-at-Arms there and put him on hold, if you will. Now the stairs, I think I managed to make the stairs pretty well, because after all, even though they are pretty steep, especially at the end, almost on every step you can place a figure without tipping it over. And that's something the other versions never got right. I think even Super 7 version has the same problem as the original toy. And as you can see, the piggy thing here, as my kid said, this looks like a pig, and it does. I'm sorry, it does. I tried, I went for a dog, I got a pig, and actually I love it that way. In the original toy, this dog thing, or piggy thing, dog thing was actually the microphone that you could speak into, and it would, the voice would come out of this mountain's head. But this time I just made it like stationary thing. I just wanted to include it there because it's supposed to be there. The Snake Mountain isn't Snake Mountain without the pig head here, so I wanted to include it there like a statue that has been put there later on. I don't know if that makes any sense, but it makes sense to me. that's basically it. I do have the original Snake Mountain here with me, but these things are so big that I just can't fit them in the same screen, but I will show you the comparison photo. And this is considerably bigger than the original toy, and that's the way I wanted it. And that's the way I made it. It has some battle damage here and there, and it still requires some final paint job and those things I talked to you about, like the marquee and the shackles. But overall, this is going to be a work in progress forever because I never finish anything. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope this encourages you to make your own toys, because that's the way you're gonna get just the way you wanted it. I'm the Nerd, and this is the toy, and I'll see you next time. Bye.